What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Kaulignation, your one-stop shop for all things Kaulig Racing, Dingernation, SVGNation, and a whole lot more. It's COTA weekend, Circuit d'America's. Uh, Always excited for this. I think it's one of the best racing facilities on planet Earth. Love the way that the track races, and we get some real tight and stiff competition here at this track. Although there are several changes heading into this weekend, and we want to recap some of that for you. But first up, our multiple choice question for this video is: who do you think wins the COTA Cup race on Sunday? One, SVG; two, Kyle Larson; three, Connor Zilisch; four, AJ Allmendinger; or five, somebody else. Please comment down below and share your thoughts there. We would love to have the feedback. Let's get into this. So, I think one of the more controversial things that's happening here is cutting down some of the road course lengths. I don't like it, and I'm going to explain why I don't like it. When it comes to COTA, we'll talk about Mexico later because they're cutting out a real technical part of that track too. But let's focus on COTA for this video. We are losing about 1 mile of the track, which is just way too much. Some vital parts of the track where you're going quick and you gotta, you hit your braking zone just right so that you don't lose all your momentum going down another long straightaway. That's gone. That's completely out. Um, it pisses me off because for guys like SVG, AJ Allmendinger, specifically those two, they don't drive for the top tier teams. They're not in Hendrick Equipment or Joe Gibbs or Penske. Um, they drive for Trackhouse, who's coming off a struggling season, and Kaulig Racing, who's coming off a very bad season. And what this does by cutting the track shorter is it gives the higher end teams with more average road racers a better chance at competing. And they've done the same thing for Mexico later this year. And I just don't like it. There's no need to take a whole mile away from this track. It's incredibly frustrating. I don't agree with it at all. I still think guys like AJ and SVG are going to have an advantage over a lot of the field, but that advantage will now be less because of the shortening of the track. Um, so it's going to be 20 turns. That's what it says, anyways. When you read the layout, it says 20 turns. But if you actually take the time to count the turns, there is only 17 now. Turn one, obviously we take the green flag and we go all the way up there, and it's a sharp turn. Last year in the Xfinity race, AJ and SVG got into it a bit. On restarts, it's always chaotic. People get turned around. It's, you're getting 5, 6 wide, which is just way too much. And your day can end in a real hurry because of how tight it is up there and how wide they get. Turns 12 through 15, if you remember Allmendinger taking the lead from Chastain a few years ago, and then Chastain punting him, pardon me. Um, that's an area where there's usually some rubbing, some hit and runs. So I suspect that'll be no different. 19 and 20, you still have, I'd call them moderate passing zones. They're okay turns. Same with 6B. But the one thing this track configuration does do is turn 6A is just deadly. It's going to be a high speed, slow it right down, hairpin turn. Think Circuit de Villeneuve, Montreal, the F1 track. NASCAR used to run it back in the day. It's going to be that kind of turn. And if you can get close enough to someone, you can either outbrake them or flat out move them. And when you're watching Sunday, I guarantee you that's going to be a focus. I wanted to take a look at the betting odds for this weekend. This is what DraftKings had. They list the 9 guys most likely to win this race. One being SVG at plus 500. And I do think SVG should be amongst the top 2 or 3 guys for sure. They have him listed at 1. We'll talk about that in a bit. Connor Zilisch, 2. I just don't agree with this at all. Um, I know he's a hell of a road racer. I know he dominated Watkins Glen. but this isn't the Xfinity Series. This is a cup car. Everyone's on a little more of an even playing field, and you got far more talented drivers. I ate my words last year at Watkins Glen when it came to Connor Zilisch. I'm hoping that doesn't happen again. I think he'll be competitive, but to think that he's going to be up there with Kyle Larson and SVG and Reddick and AJ and company and the Hendrick boys, I highly doubt that. Again, though, I could eat my words. Coming in at threes, Tyler Reddick at plus 700. William Byron's four at plus 750. Kyle Larson's five at plus 900. Tied for sixth is Christopher Bell and Chase Elliott at plus 1100. Coming in at seventh is AJ Allmendinger at plus 1200, which I think is a fair place for him. Like, as much as I want AJ to compete for a win this weekend, Kaulig has to prove they can unload the car properly and be quick right out of the gate. Because if AJ has to play catch up, you're basically throwing any chance at a win away unless he has a chance at a late restart. You cannot be playing catch up here. Same goes for Trackhouse when it comes to SVG and Connor Zilisch. Trackhouse brought a piss poor car to COTA last year. A lot of people are like, well, it's Kaulig. No, it was a Trackhouse prepped car. So they got some work to do as well. And AJ and SVG deserve to have the best cars they can. But again, they don't drive for those top tier teams. And Ross Chastain came in eighth or ninth if you count the tie or don't count the tie at plus 1400. I would be shocked if the winner doesn't come from that group of drivers: SVG, Zilisch, Reddick, Byron, Larson, Bell, Elliott, AJ, and Chastain. I don't think someone not on that list is going to win unless there's absolute carnage. Um, when talking about SVG's chances, I sit here and in terms of talent, he can get it done. In terms of talent, every road course is a little bit different. We've seen SVG not do quite as well at the Roval last year, but this isn't the Roval. This is Circuit America, and while Allmendinger jumped out to a pretty big early lead in the Xfinity Series, SVG chased him down and passed him, and was the better car in those races, or that race particular, not necessarily the Cup race. He had his own bag of issues to deal with there. To me, it's not on the drivers here. I think AJ and SVG are both going to bring enough talent to be capable of winning this race. In terms of road course talent, we could sit here and argue who's better, AJ, SVG. SVG had three Xfinity wins last year. AJ did better on the Cup cars last year. It depends, right? Ultimately, it's not going to matter for either one of those guys, though, if Kaulig and Trackhouse can't unload properly. If they're unloading 15th, 20th place speed, and AJ and SVG have to play catch up in very short practice and qualifying, then they're still going to be playing catch up through the first two-thirds of the race. Talent will only take you so far in this sport. Um, and when you're not driving for one of those upper tier teams, the playing catch up is bad. So my hope is when they unload, we're talking about SVG being top five, AJ being top five, or just outside of top five. The gap's a lot less than that, or a lot less to make up, pardon me. Where if you unload 15th to 20th, it's a harder gap to make up. And I think both guys deserve a much better chance at winning. I'd like to see both guys run top five. Obviously, they can benefit greatly from a win. It's not an automatic playoff berth if more than 16 guys win races, but I doubt that will happen. It hasn't happened yet. But boy, it could be a big opportunity for both of these guys to punch their ticket to the playoffs. And then, last but not least, Chris Rice confirmed this morning on Sirius XM that AJ Allmendinger is on a very long-term extension to be a part of Kaulig Racing and the Cup Series. His exact quote was, "It's longer than most of the drivers in the sport." The dates that we heard were either 2028 or 2029. I believe, again, this is not guaranteed, but I believe it's 2029 with an option for 2030. So he's going nowhere anytime soon. He's committed to Kaulig. We'll see how that all plays out. Follow us on social media. Facebook is Kaulignation, Dingernation, SVG Nation, Ekis Nation, and Kaulig Racing. Follow us on X at Kaulignation. Also on Facebook, we have a NASCAR Nation group that's launched. Also on YouTube, We have a new NASCAR Nation YouTube channel that we've launched. Please head on over there to subscribe. Of course, as always, like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications to all in order to keep up with all of our content. And don't forget, we are doing a watch party for COTA this Sunday. Ryan and myself, my little ones will be here, so I'll be muted some of the time, and you might hear some kids in the background. But I cannot wait for this race. Again, I wish it was a full course, but I'll take what we can get because it's probably going to be a real rough weekend for both AJ and SVG the following week at Phoenix. In the meantime, have a great day. We'll see you this weekend at COTA.